22 million black victims of Americanism are waking up, and they're gaining a new political consciousness, becoming politically mature. And as they develop this political maturity, they're able to see the recent trends in these political elections. Any minority that has a block of votes that stick together is in a strategic position. Either way you go, that's who gets it. You're in a position to determine who go to the White House and who stay in the doghouse. You're the one who has that power. You and I have never seen democracy. All we've seen is hypocrisy. When we open our eyes today and look around America, we see America not through the eyes of someone who has enjoyed the fruits of Americanism. We see America through the eyes of someone who has been the victim of Americanism. We don't see any American dream. We've experienced only the American nightmare. We haven't benefited from America's democracy. We've only suffered from America's hypocrisy. And the generation that's coming up now can see it and are not afraid to say it. 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 And are not afraid to say it.
And are not afraid to say it. Can you hear me?
No.
You can't hear me?
No.
Suki.
You're very low, my brother.
Very low?
You're very low.
Okay.
You sound muffled. Well,
You hear me better now?
yes, I do. Yes, I do. And welcome everybody to Black Westchester's The People Before Politics show. And we're here on a Monday night. I'm getting some feedback. I'm here on the
feedback from me? Oh.
Yeah, not now. I don't know what you did. Welcome everybody. Welcome everybody that is watching. Welcome. And this is the People Before Politics show. And as the intro says, we black people, brown people, poor people, we get nothing from this so-called democracy because we are always shown that democracy is not for us. And tonight we're gonna have a great discussion about why democracy is not for us. You know, so for those who are just watching, for those who are watching in, and people that are just watching, it is, we all understand, or we all heard the news about George Lattimore running for Congress in the 16th district against Jamal Bowman. And we all have heard the controversy around a certain political action committee that is supporting George. And people now, Westchester, now let's make it clear. Westchester, for the last 8 years, has been saying that it's a progressive county. It's very progressive, and they have progressive views, and that the elected officials are very progressive. They're total opposite of the Republicans. And not too long ago, I can remember when, the county was a Republican county. 1 year would be Democrats in the county exec's office, and next year it'd be Republicans, depending on how the wind blow. So, but the recent, people are questioning, and I wrote a recent article in Black Westchester, and other people throughout Westchester have wrote articles in Black Westchester to the fact of this certain political action committee that has made clear, that they are behind George Lattimore, which, I make no bones about it. I'm very disappointed. I'm very disappointed. Now, people are making a lot of, arguments that, you got the Justice PAC and the Political Action Committee, that there's purpose, just for one thing. Okay,
Justice Democrats.
Right, the Justice Democrats, and but I looked at their website, and it's more inclusive than what's AI PAC, whatever whatever they call themselves.
APAC.
APAC. APAC is not inclusive of the people in District 16. Now, right, we all have agendas. Of course we all have agendas. But if you have one sole entity that is funding a campaign, and as I said in the article, whoever pays the tune, whoever pays the piper calls the tune. And I like Lattimore. I like Lattimore a lot. And I could say, he keeps his word. I could say that on certain things. Some things police reform, he really didn't do so great. But I could say he kept his word when Ricky Maxwell, correctional officer, lost his health care, and they got it back from him because it was a little oversight of the union at that time. But this right here, is kind of heartbreaking that we have to deal with a super PAC that has no, on their website, it make it clear that the vast majority of people in different interests and different colors are not their priority. Their priority is keeping money going to Israel, keeping our tax dollars going to Israel, our tax dollars. Now, I wouldn't have any problem. You raise money, send it to Israel, that's your business. But when you're taking our tax dollars, some people can't even afford to live in Westchester County. They have to work in Westchester and move out. But they're still paying taxes. So when you take our tax dollars, and your goal is nothing else but taking our tax dollars, I have a problem with that. Now you could say, well, he's anti-Israel. No, I'm not. Because if you can take $3.8 billion in 2022, and if a congressperson says, you know what, let's just give you $1 billion, and then let's just take the 2.8 and help out homelessness. Let's just take the 2.8 and make sure that we have affordable fucking housing in America. Let's just take 2.8 so we can fix the infrastructure in poor Black and brown communities, that their cities are falling apart. Let's just take some of that 2.8 billion and fix the broken ass educational system in America. You can have 1 billion, but you want to take all of it, of our tax dollars? I have a problem with that. And anybody that have struggled throughout life in this damn country to try to have a decent living for themselves and for their families, and to see all this goddamn money leaving our country, going across seas, when you could just, listen, I run a food pantry. The line is down the block. The line is down the block. People can't even get food. And we're sending all this money overseas? But when it comes to poor people, nobody has money.
You know, my mother used to say something. You got to take care of home first.
Exactly.
You got to take care of home first.
Exactly.
Like, and you can do all this other stuff for other people, but you got to take care of home first.
And you know what? And that goes for any other political action committee that is not inclusive of everyone. That is not inclusive of everyone.
Keep talking. I'm going to answer the phone. Keep talking.
So this is the problem. This is the problem that I have. Because I don't see an inclusive campaign. And we're about to put, and I don't see that. And I don't want people to say, oh, well, he's just doing this because Jamal's a brother. And no, my opinion is what I saw. My opinion is what the first ad that I saw that makes it a problem. When I see people on food lines in Mount Vernon trying to get food, and then I see the money that we're sending overseas, and with the auspice of keeping America safe. It's not keeping America safe, keeping America starving. It's bad enough cities like Mount Vernon are food deserts. And black and brown communities throughout the nation are food deserts. So I have a problem with that. And we have to talk, and right now, District 16, Congressional District 16 is trying to be taken over, and it's not going to be for the people. It's not going to be for the people. And I am upset that they use George for this. Or he allowed himself to get used. And it's not even going to change my mind. So people say, well, you don't even live. Listen, I invested. I lived in Westchester my whole life. Exactly. And this is a wake-up call. But guess what? We're going to see a lot of Negroes step up and support this, knowing that these people that are funding money do not give a damn about our communities.
So I wanted to let you finish your thought because I
No,
didn't
go
want to
ahead.
interrupt you.
Go ahead.
One of the other things that bothers me with this whole thing is the move or the push for registered Republicans to re-register as Democrats to vote against Jamal in the primary. This is something the Republicans, this is not new. Here in Westchester, we dealt with this early 2011 or something like that, or a little earlier than that, when the Westchester Independence Party was the big party, was a big threat, and the Republicans registered, I don't know how many thousands of Republicans switched their registrations to Independence Party to try to take over the Independence Party. It's the first time I heard the word political decapitation used. They were trying to take over the party and get rid of the chairman, Dr. Julio Cavallo. He went to court and he fought it. So I only say this to say the Republican Party in Westchester County has a history of this. So now they really want to go after Congressman Bowman so bad, they are telling Republicans to re-register as Democrat so that they can vote in the primary, so they can vote against Congressman Bowman and vote for George Latimer to assure that he wins the primary.
And I haven't even seen if Lattimore denounced that. He said it wasn't him, but they haven't denounced it. His camp needs to denounce it. Because it is already case law that is illegal.
Right. Like I said, that's why I brought it up. This has already happened in Westchester. The Independence Party went to court, and the judge threw out all of those Republicans out of the Independence Party.
Exactly.
So this is already case law, and this has already happened in Westchester County, and it's important we know our history.
And it's even more disturbing, it was in a synagogue's email. It wasn't like it was somebody that just sent out. It was in a synagogue email. Are we really serious about this? Is this how it's going to go down?
Yeah, they would have to re-register. They would go in right now and change their registration from Republican, register as Democrats, as long as they do it before that time. So when the primary comes up, they will be now Democrats, and they will have a vote in the primary.
Right.
And it's important that we know, not only just our history, how things work. So this is how they would have to re-register as a Democrat to be able to vote in the Democratic primary.
Yeah, but that takes 5 seconds.
Right. You can do that online right now while you're having this conversation. You
Exactly.
can go to you can go to Board of Elections website right now and change your registration while we're having this conversation right now. They make it's that easy. But it's been done before. And like you said, there's case law against it. But these are things that we're trying to shed some light on. Like, let me just be clear. So let me be clear. A lot of people first called me when there were the rumors that County Executive Latimer was being urged by Jewish rabbis to challenge Jamal Bowman. A lot of people were very upset by that. If it was anybody else other than Jamal Bowman, I've always said that I think that sitting elected officials should be primary because too many of them have these jobs for like 30-something years and they run unopposed. They should have to work for their job. So I'm not so much. So if it's going to be a primary, let it be a primary. Let it be a fair fight. But when you have AIPAC vowing millions, hundreds of millions of dollars to take out every member of the squad, explicitly every member of the squad, and putting money into anybody who is running against them, whether it's a Democrat or Republican, it's not a fair fight. And while I have not been able to, my question, so this APAC, which is, which I want to be clear on what it stands. It stands for, um, it stands for American Israel Public Affairs Committee. And the American Israel Public Affairs Committee, which is APAC, created a super PAC. I want to clear this up too because somebody hit us and be like, oh, APAC's not a PAC. They created a super PAC. You can go to APIAC/PAC.com and it tells you about the super PAC that APAC has started. It's online. Or just Google APAC super PAC and you'll see it. So when this is a super PAC, and I think it was Dr. Bob or someone who mentioned this to me, where is the money coming from? Is some of this money coming from Israel? Because one of the things you keep hearing about in these last elections, and there's been a big stink about, is foreign money coming into our country to affect the course of our elections. Is some of this money, is this all from Americans, from America, or is some of this money coming from Israel itself so that America will keep voting in their favor? I don't know. I'm asking a question. I want to be clear. I'm not making an accusation. I'm asking a question.
Well,
it's something I want to know the answer to.
Well, we will never know because they don't have to. They don't. A 501c4. They don't have to give their donors by law, so you will never know where the money's coming from.
And that's something that the people need to question, and that's why I'm bringing that up.
We don't know where we don't know where the money could be coming from warlords. We don't know where the money.
But I'm explicitly talking about like a specific thing. There's been in the last few elections there have been so much that they've been trying to put on each candidate about money coming from foreign countries donated to the presidential campaigns to change the dark money. Yes, there's Sandy. Dark money coming in. And this has been a big thing. That's all you heard about during Trump, during Biden, a little bit during Obama. This is a big thing. And no one's talking about that now in this congressional race. And that's why I'm questioning it, because this has been all we've heard about on MSNBC and even Fox accusing the Democrats, and that's all we've been hearing about is this dark money, and there's money coming in. So where is the money from that comes from? That this APAC super PAC is coming from? Is any of it coming from Israel, which would be an outside entity affecting our election here? And if that's the case, that is a problem, and we need to ask the question. And if they are supporting George Latimer, the question needs to be asked of him. Because if he's taking money from APAC, and some of this money is dark money or money coming from outside of the United States, that's an issue. Again, this is not an accusation. This is a question. This is what we do. We're supposed to ask those questions, ask those difficult questions until we get answers. And I would like an answer to that. Again, this is not even a George Latimer thing. This is just, where's this money coming from APAC? And if you go to their website, Damon stepped off and he has that on his screen as I show you. They have a video and they talk about all the candidates that they are supporting. And that includes our minority leader in the House of Representatives, Hakeem Jeffries.
Yeah, he's right here. He's right here, right?
And there's there's a donation page that they have on their page that they're raising money up to $6,600 a person can make. And he's right there.
Hold on. This is what we worried about, New York State, right?
Right.
So these are all.
And there's Hakeem Jeffries right there.
This is all New York.
But I'm speaking about our majority leader. Now we're talking about the head person of the party, and that's what I'm talking about. And for the Congress, for the House, he has a whole. His position doesn't make him just a regular congressman. You know what I'm saying?
They used to have key leader over his name last week when I took. Now they don't have it no more. Right?
Now you see some other black people like Gregory Meeks. I think I've seen. Yvette
Gregory
Clark.
Meeks. Listen, let me tell you something. Gregory Meeks
and black and brown people. Richie Torres, which is right next door in the Bronx.
Gregory Meeks has been their lapping boy for a long time, even to make him denounce Minister Farrakhan. So this is it's nothing new with Gregory Meeks. It's nothing new with him, right? It's nothing new. So they're raising up to 6,600 per person, right? Because that's probably the limit. But if you have a house of 5, you could split it up. And
that's what they do.
Person.
You give 66. They give 6,600 in your name, 6,600 in my wife's name, 6,600 in my grown son's name, 6,600 in my grown daughter's name, 6,600 in my son-in-law's name. And that's how they do it. So they give way more money than that, and that's how they get away with that. And that even goes in the local politics. In the mayor race in Mount Vernon.
Right. So,
but I won't name no names, but I know that for a fact.
But we have to understand that your politicians don't work for you. And this is what I've been saying for a long time, that your politicians do not work for you.
Before you get off of that, and I want to speak one more thing about Hakeem Jeffries. So the reason I'm mentioning him is in several conversations, they were like, as the minority leader of the Congress, who may be majority leader depending on how the election goes, why, and Jamal Bowman being, somebody he rocks with, he's come here to Mount Vernon, to town hall forums at Greater Centennial to and talk about what a great job Jamal's doing in the Congress. So why hasn't he called down to the New York State Democratic Party, to the Westchester Democratic Party, who are going to have to endorse one of these candidates, saying, no, Jamal is our candidate. We don't want you to go against them. This is what other leaders do. They call down and they let everyone know their intentions. You understand what I'm saying? And you need to carry out their intentions, or you might get on their bad side. This is politics. That's how it's done. So we was like, why hasn't Hakeem called down to George Latimer and told him not to run, or the Westchester County Party and told them they better not endorse Latimer, they better endorse Jamal, or the state party, New York State Party? And when you pull this list up that Damon just showed, and you see his name on the AIPAC, that AIPAC is collecting, raising money for him, and they're spending up to $100 million to get members of the squad out. It makes you wonder, is he being quiet because he is getting money from this group of people and he does not want backlash? Again, as journalists, this is what we do. We ask the questions. We ask those questions until answers come out. We're not making an accusation, but that's a question that needs to be asked. So I wanted to put that out on why I was talking about Hakeem Jeffries specifically, because this conversation came up in a lot of conversations here in Westchester. Why hasn't he called down and put an end to this?
Well, because we know it. I mean, it's self-evident, right? It's self-evident to the point that he's getting money from the organization that at this point is funding Latimore's campaign.
And let me just say, I like Hakeem. I really do like Hakeem, but I'm very disappointed. I'm disappointed in this move. I'm disappointed in this move. The lack of movement because he runs his party. You see, when they vote, they all vote in line. He runs his party the way Nancy Pelosi had control of the party and gets everybody rallied together. When he wants to get something done, he is a person that they all listen to. So I'm just putting things into context. We want transparency. How much, when, let's call Hakeem. Well, I mean, some people need to
call him.
Need to call his office and ask the question and let him answer it. Maybe there's a good answer, but the question needs to be asked. The question needs to be asked. And let me just be clear. Most people that I know, just like this country funds the thing going on in Ukraine, no one is really saying that we shouldn't fund Israel and we shouldn't give money for the defense of Israel. No one. I don't know too many people that feel that way. But and here this might not be popular. And you know what? As the last part of our intro, this is the show that's not afraid to say it. So, everybody's a little too sensitive right now. And I mean every group of people, but especially Jewish people. If you ask these questions, and on their website there's a video, and they call out candidates as being anti-Israel. And one of the candidates, I think, is Talib. What's her name? Rashida
Talib.
Right, I believe it was her, member of the squad. She's calling for, what is the word you used in your article? Some accountability to how much money is going with the money. Oversight of the money. Because of that, and she's calling for money to go other places in our communities, as what Damon said. And because of that, on this website, there's a video that points her out as being anti-Israel. We're at a point where you got to be, everybody's anti something at this point. If you make a comment about a Jewish person or Jewish people and is backed in fact, it is not anti-Semitic. If you make a point or call and ask for questions about money going to Israel and not just wanting to just send money over without knowing, just keeping this faucet on, just sending unlimited amounts of money, and you're not questioning it, and as a congressperson, which is what your job is, you're labeled anti-Israel. That's the new thing now, anti-Israel. At some point, I'm sure, because of the show, they'll say we're anti-Israel. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a thing, though, and we fall for that because in the history of black people, anytime you're fighting for black rights, just a different thing. You always labeled anti something. So we've been labeled anti everything else, but all we're doing is asking the questions and bringing it home for the voters of Westchester to think about, and hopefully ask the same questions if they feel that these are valid questions that need to be answered. But at least bringing it to you because no one else is talking about this right now, and someone has to talk about it.
That's Hakeem Jeffries' number, so people can call his office and ask him why hasn't he stepped up to support Jamal, a sitting congressman, because this is unheard of that he will be quiet and not come out and not make it clear that he's supporting this sitting congressman. And we're going to challenge him not to just do Jamal, but he better stand by every congressperson that AIPAC has decided to challenge, and to damn near supporters want to break laws and do illegal things to get people out. I've never heard that before for someone to just try to get Republicans to come over. That's a sign of desperation, and it's also a sign that they do not respect the multicultural people that are in District 16 to want to do that.
Because there is a big Muslim community, there is a big Palestinian community. You know what I'm saying? There's a big Latino community. This district is made up of a lot of people, a lot of different people. And yes, the county is maybe the 8th largest Jewish county with Jewish people in it, but there's a lot of other people in this community, and I haven't seen. Speaking exclusively for Black, this is Black Westchester. I have not seen the answer to questions and the call for the help that we've been calling for the helping of Black people, whether it's criminal justice reform, whether it's police reform, whether it's services and our community that we need. I haven't seen, a lot of people will say, well, George Latimer took over Memorial Field. I've seen this and said, he built Memorial Field. Yeah, it was the county's money. And what he did is, instead of throwing more bad money on top of more bad money when there wasn't a plan or enough money, they were like, let's take it over. It's our money and we will rebuild it and hand it back over to the city. So that's what he did. I mean, that was a responsible thing. But Memorial Field does not help the quality of life of a lot of the residents in Mount Vernon, though. It's nice to have. We used to have high school graduations. We used to have high school graduations there. We have to have a lot of stuff. I missed all the things we used to do there. But it does not help the quality of life of the Mount Vernon residents and it doesn't. It doesn't. So we can't use that. He has to stand on his record of what he has done for Black people. And this is going to be a test. See, too many of our Black elected officials, they fall in line. A lot of people who are outraged, they can't speak up. Why? Because they have county jobs. And that's how they get you. It's good to have a county job and a pension and all that other stuff. But times like this, you can't speak up against the county executive if you want to keep your county job. Even if there wasn't an exact threat made, that still is not a good move. It's not good for your job security. We understand that. But we have elected officials who have been elected. A lot of them will fall in line. If the Democratic Party gets behind George Latimer, a lot of them will just fall in line. And that's what's going to be.
Well, most of them. Look,
have already fell in line.
Yeah, most of them have already fell in line. So when you do things like this, you're a detriment to your community. You're not helping your community because he's not going to work for you. Because only thing you did was throw a barbecue or a party, but you're not funding his campaign. And we as Black people, we like to take the crumbs from master's table and always feel that we're gaining something. And we're not. And it fails, and it's crazy because, and I'm going to call it right now because all the little Black pastors are going to come out. They're all going to come out and they're all going to support. And they just and they won't care as long as they get a little limelight and maybe some get some jobs.
And again, how history proves that. Astorino knew just how to play that game to give the Black pastors just a little something, and they all fell in line and Astorino won that race, and they all came out, Pastor so-and-so of such and such church endorses Astorino. And he played that game. He gave them just what they want. And you can Google pastors supporting Astorino. The videos are still up.
And
the videos are still up.
You know what's even sadder? You know what it's even sadder? So when he brings up Memorial Field, how many black contractors got jobs? So, I mean, we have to question that. So see, you know, black people, we're so on the surface. We're so on the surface as people. And then we become the problem when we start asking real questions, because we're trying to, the goal is to build generational wealth, build businesses, you know, and they do things and they don't even give black contractors contracts to do work on projects like that.
Today, during a podcast I did on 914 Wired, I was asked if I personally support sending money to Israel. I said yes. And I also support sending money to Gaza to rebuild after the after this war. You know what the interviewer said? Never. Gaza is not a wealth building nation. I said, wealth. What about humanity? It ended there.
Because they don't care. Look, they don't care. They don't care. They don't care. What do we get? What American security, according to AIPAC, it makes America safer? How does it make America safer? It actually makes America the target. Because
I was just getting ready to say that.
Because these young people in Gaza that have nothing to do with Hamas, seeing their family killed, you're making them the next Saddam Hussein.
The next level terrorists.
You're creating, America and Israel is creating the next terrorists. So they could get more money to fight the terrorists, but you're creating them.
So I want to be clear about something else too, because somebody tried to give me pushback on this. When we saw the coverage of what Hamas, the terrorist organization Hamas, did on October 7th to Israel, and Israel's response, and I said something about praying for all the innocent people that were lost on both sides, and I got pushback. And I was like, yo, I would question the person's humanity, because how could you, regardless, let's say everything is true, that Hamas is hiding in the tunnels under the hospital. Israel blew up the hospital. Babies are dying because they can't get the health care, and all this other stuff is happening. There are a lot of innocent people that are in Gaza that are dying, Palestinians that are dying, that have nothing to do with Hamas, that have nothing to do with terrorism. So how could we, humanity, how is it that we're asked to feel for the innocent people that were killed in Israel, and we're asked not to feel the same humanity for the innocent people killed, the innocent Palestinians killed? All innocent people that are killed in this, that have nothing to do with all of this, yo, we should feel for all of them as a human. And somehow by saying this, I get pushed back from Jewish leaders and Jewish people who tell me, no, Hamas and Hamas. Every person in Palestine is not, in Gaza is not part of Hamas.
See, when I hear that, it takes me back to racist white people when they say every black person's in a gang.
And then it was a war. It was a war in the black community, and innocent black people were getting killed.
Exactly.
It had nothing to do with gang violence.
All black people are in gangs, and all black people are criminals. See, that's the racist mindset. That you would think that every person, every Palestine, Every Palestinian is part of Hamas, which we know is not true. We know that it's not true.
That's like saying every white person is part of the Proud Boys, which is not true.
Exactly.
But it's like to hate every white person because of the action of the Proud Boys and those organizations, to hate every white person and think every white person is affiliated with one of those. That's not true.
Or to the fact that, according to the United Nations, approximately 52,000 people were killed, Palestinians. No, I'm sorry, 17,000 Palestinians.
17,400.
And around 52 was injured. And according to the United Nations, there's only have been 1,200 Israelis killed. The war is over. The war was over since the first plane dropped the bombs in Gaza. The war was over. When is the referee going to come in and stop? See, and the only reason Biden and this is Biden's war too, because the only reason Biden started pushing back is because his numbers were dropping. And what was his response, Sandy? You see, and that's the thing. What was we response? See, there's a lack when see this shows the lack of humanity. This shows the lack of humanity. If we're not going to care for both sides and see innocent people as human,
the innocent people on both sides that have lost life,
right?
You know, I'm not just so because you got to be, people want to edit a little clip of something and say, oh, they even said we got to care about Hamas. Like, let's stop all the bullshit. Like, you know what I'm saying? So you got to be clear when you say stuff like that.
Listen, they could come at me if they want to. I'm very well wicked with the tongue, and I really don't give a damn because see. I'm
just saying, I just want to be clear, so we just cut all that to the chase.
Look, they're going to say, AJ, they're going to say what they do. Look how they say anyway. Farrakhan for the left. They're going to say what they want to say. They're going to make up what they want to make up. It doesn't matter. At this point, it doesn't matter. They're going to take it and twist it around and say whatever. But I'm not supporting no organization that supports taking my tax dollars when I'm feeding homeless and little kids that don't have food. I could give a damn what they think because they're not coming in the communities that we serve. Them people that are funding Lattimore, they could give a shit about Mount Vernon, Yonkers, Greenberg, or whatever. They could give two shits. Let's be real about it.
They're trying to take Greenberg out of Jamal's district.
They don't give two shits. And then you're going to see these Negroes standing up there knowing that this organization is funding it.
So when
let me make it clear. I don't even want ads from the motherfuckers. See, we stand on our shit. I don't even want ads from them. Because they don't give a damn about my community.
So, before I forget to, if any other country was involved, we would be talking about war crimes. What do they call it when you the rules that the United Nations said? Yeah, war crimes. That acts of war crimes like taking out a hospital would qualify as that. Killing all these innocent people, whether you say that Hamas was hiding in a tunnel under them or hiding among them, then that means you need to get on the ground and do some hand-to-hand, whatever you need to do, and you need to have some intelligence that you can go infiltrate that and identify those people and take them out. You don't kill the whole group of people. And I watched some of the Israel leaders when they were asked, the president and another person from Israel, when they were asked about this, and all they could talk about was that the crimes that Hamas committed on October 7th, they could never let that stand, and they have to continue on till Hamas is taken out. Let me just tell you, war has been going on in this body of land since the BC days of the Bible. I don't know if there's ever going to be peace. One side is always going to be fighting the other side. You got one side that lived there and the other side saying God gave me this land, and basically trying to kick out a group of people. And neither one is going to has been backing down. And I'm talking about for thousands and thousands of years. You read the Bible, the Torah, the early days, the BC, in the BC days, this was all going on. So,
So Amnesty International, damning evidence of war crimes. This is Amnesty International. It's not Black Westchester. It's not Damon K. Jones. It's not A.J. Woodson. This is Amnesty International. So anybody want to argue? It's Amnesty International, damning evidence of war crimes as Israeli attacks wipe out entire families in Gaza.
So when do we step up and say that that's a problem? And it gets worse, though, because a lot of countries, including some of our allies, are saying America has blood on its hands. Because we're funding it. We're funding it. Like anything else that we fund in this country, there's congressional hearings on where the money's being spent and how the money's being spent and what's being done with the money. But we're sending this money over, and groups like Amnesty International, groups like the United Nations are talking about war crimes, and they're talking about we are funding it, and they're saying the United States has blood on its hands. And what Damon said, the AIPAC's website says they're doing this to build better, build better American-Israel relations, and it's going to be good for us at home. It's actually going to drag us into a war that we don't want, because somebody from the other side is going to be like they didn't have enough, and they're going to attack, and we're going to have to be involved. It's going to drag us in a war, because Israel's, unless they wipe out every member of Hamas, which I don't know if that's even possible, they're not going to stop.
Well, you're killing innocent people in the process, and the Amnesty International Secretary General said for 16 years, Israel's illegal blockade has made Gaza the world's biggest open-air prison. And the international community must act now to prevent it becoming a giant graveyard. Now, here's other things, the recommendations from Amnesty International: immediately end unlawful attacks and abide by international humanitarian law. So they're not even abiding by international humanitarian law, including by ensuring the take of all feasible precautions to minimize harm to civilians and damage to civilian objects, referring from the direct attack on civilians and civilian objects. Immediately allow delivery of humanitarian aid to Gaza, urgently lifting illegal blockade on Gaza, which amounts to the collective punishment and is a war crime. in the face of the current devastation of humanitarian rescind their appealing evacuation order, which has left more than 1 million people displaced. Grant immediate access to the Independent Commission of Inquiry on Occupied Palestine Territory to carry out investigations, including collect time-sensitive evidence and testimony. And they're making requests to the United Nations, the United Nations, EU members, and the UK to take concrete measures to protect Gaza civilian populations from unlawful attacks, impose a comprehensive arms embargo on all parties to the conflict, given serious violations amount to crimes under international law are being committed. States must refrain from supplying Israel with arms and military material, including related technologies, parts and component, technical assistance, training, financial and other assistance. They should also call on states supplying arms to Palestinian armed groups to refrain from doing so, refrain from any statement or action that would even indirectly legitimizes Israel's crimes and violations in Gaza. Pressure Israel to lift its 16-year blockade of the Gaza Strip, which amounts to a collective punishment of the Gaza's population. In a war, it is a war crime and is a key aspect to Israel's apartheid system. Now, I don't understand how America could be so hypocritical when it comes to this apartheid, but want to champion, what's the brother's name from the South African apartheid? Can't think of his name right now. And he even, after he got out of jail, what's his name that did all those years in jail? I can't even think of his name right now.
Mandela?
Yeah, even Mandela spoke out against the apartheid against Gaza and the Palestinians. And they wanted to call him, Bishop Tutu, they called him an anti-Semite because he spoke out against the treatment of the Palestinians. Martin Luther King Jr., they called him an anti-Semite too. But now they're saying anti-Israel. But this, I guess Amnesty International is anti-Israel, because this is what I'm reading from. And this was October 20th, 2023.
So I want to, before I forget, the purpose of this, as always, is to inform the public so we have more informed. We're just putting it out there, and I personally want to hear from y'all, and invite y'all to write op-eds and letters to the editor that I will publish. Whether you agree or disagree. Like, just because we say this don't mean you have to agree. You know what I mean? But we want to hear from our audience. We want to hear from the voters of Westchester. We want to hear from the Westchester community. I haven't really been seeing much of the community and the voters' perspective on this in a lot of news when I hear about this. They just tell you what's going on, but they don't ask you your opinion. So I want to hear from you. The email address is blackwestchester@gmail.com. Again, the email address is blackwestchester@gmail.com. If you have a position on this, if you have an opinion, if you have something you want to share and shed light on about this, and you want to write an op-ed, please feel free to. I will not be running any op-eds or letter to the editor without names. No, we won't have no anonymous letters. If you feel a certain way, put your name to it, and we will definitely run it. And I definitely want to say that because we want to hear from you. You know, we're here to put out this information to our community that we don't see getting out there to our community, but we want to hear from our community. So I just wanted to put that out there.
So this article
I think
here,
this is a great conversation that need to be had, though.
This is a very good article here, and
it's a CNN.
Yeah, it's on CNN. Logo? I'm gonna try to put it in, but it's only gonna come up. For some reason, it's only coming up, and I'm not sure if it's coming up. I see it come up on. I see that it comes up on YouTube, but I'm not sure if it comes up in the.
It's in the comment section.
It's in the Facebook comment section?
No, I don't know why this is set up the way it is. When you or I leave a comment, it says Black Westchester YouTube.
Yeah, I have all, but it's not allowing me to leave a...
Yeah, so I will make sure that when we share this show on the website, I will have the links. Just make sure you send me the links, and the links will be under the video so people can click on them while they watch this. Again, if you have any comments right now, for those who are watching, please feel free. Some have spoke, some are quiet, some have texted me privately. But if you have a comment you want to share before we get off the air, or a point of view that you want to share, please share it with us now. But go ahead, talk about this article, Damon.
No, it just basically it gives by CNN, since you gotta quote people that they respect. So CNN talks about the act, is there possible war crimes, and it's a good article. I suggest everybody. I'm not going to go long into it, but people are questioning. Are there now war crimes against the Palestinians? And we're not talking. See, it says civilian buildings are protected, but protection is not unconditional. They can lose their protection if they are used outside of the humanitarian function to commit acts of harmful enemy. But bombing hospitals, and you say to people that they're underneath the hospitals? Are you kidding me? Like that?
But
that doesn't make.
This is not nothing new. Bad guys have always hid where innocent people are, but we always had intelligence, people who get in there and who identify who those people are and take them out. This is something that's been going on for hundreds of years. This ain't nothing new. So Israel's supposed to have that kind of intelligence gathering skills that they have, and you got to go in. If your goal is to take out this terrorist act, you got to get your hands dirty, and you're gonna have to go in, and take them people out, and take them out in such a way that you don't endanger 17,400 innocent people, which I think is the number that has been quoted over and over. And not to do so to just drop bombs and just roll willy-nilly. How does that make you any different than the terrorists? Let's keep it real. How does that make you different than the terrorists that you're trying to take out? So how does that make you different? We go in, we have people go in and take out their leaders. You know what I'm saying? And put an end to this stuff. This has been going on for thousands of years. This ain't nothing new. It's not like this is the first time something like this has ever happened, and their response has put a lot of innocent people's People, they showed a video of a family under, I don't know if they were on the basement of their building or whatever, and they're hidden and they're holding their heads down, and the kid was talking about hearing the bombs over his head and how scared they were. You know what I'm saying? Like they had a family talking, and it was like, yo, these people, even the people who live, the psychological effect that this has on them is crazy.
Yeah, it's sad, bro. And we are so detached. Go ahead.
And I want to say, because this goes back. Remember when Obama was taking out people with drone strikes and stuff?
Mm-hmm.
One of the biggest things being said is he was creating a new generation of terrorists, and that was true to a certain degree, because it was the survivors, and the survivors. Hey, me and David were talking about this. Every movie, every a martial art movie, every movie starts with somebody being taken out by the bad dude and the one person surviving and him getting back and growing up, and his whole thing is to go after those people that took out his family or his master or his teacher or something. You killing all these people, the people that survive, you're creating a new generation of terrorists. And this is real talk. Like, and again, America is funding this unconditionally, without conditions, or even if they've given them conditions, they obviously have not been met, and we want to continue to fund them to do whatever they want to do. That means America has blood on its hands, and a lot of even our allies in the United Nations are saying that.
So this article is more recent, and it's by Rutgers, right? And it's November 8th, and it says UN rights chief says war crimes committed on both sides, right?
On both sides. On
Right.
both
On
sides.
both
Let's settle with that. On both sides.
It says the United Nations High Commissioner of Human Rights said on Wednesday, war crimes have been committed by both Israel and Hamas in the conflict erupted just over a month ago. The atrocities perpetrated by Palestinian armed groups on October 7 was horrendous. They were war crimes, as is the continued holding of hostages, Volker says, and Rafah crossing in Egypt on the border. The collective punishment by Israel of Palestine civilians is also a war crime, as it is unlawful, unforcible evacuation of civilians, he's added. Speaking of the humanitarian aid, and that has been delivered through Rafah Turk, the lifeline has been unjustly, outrageously thin. Israel has bombarded Gaza unrelentingly in the response to a cross-border Hamas raid on southern Israel on October 7th, in which gunmen killed 1,400 people and took about 240 hostages, which today we denounce. We have always denounced that. So don't get it twisted, people. We have denounced
Westchester denounces the attack on October 7th. Do I need to say that one more time for the cheap seats?
Well, hold on.
Okay.
In Israel, bombardments have killed more than 10,500, including many women and children. I call it as a matter of urgency for the parties now to agree on a ceasefire. So nobody's hands is clean. Nobody's hands is clean.
Two things can be true, is one of my favorite sayings. What happened on October 7th was unforgivable, was horrendous, was all of those things. All of the innocent lives that were lost on that day from the attack from Hamas is horrendous. Equally, two things can be true. The response that has killed was being quoted as 17,400 people and injuring another 5,600 or whatever, is equally as horrendous. And it is not anti-Israel to call that out and to feel some kind of sympathy for the innocent lives lost on both ends. Now, before we go too far and stuff, everything always got to bring back home. The reason for this conversation is because Jamal Bowman has called some of these things out and been labeled and has been labeled anti-Israel.
Exactly.
So they went and they talked George Latimer, our current county executive, who just put it off for a while that he was even running, who they sponsored a trip over to Israel and all that other stuff. And when he came back, he announced that he was running. This group, AIPAC, has a super PAC to take out anyone they deem anti-Israel. That means speaking truth that is not favorable to Israel will get you labeled anti-Israel. And they're putting hundreds of millions of dollars and raising money for the candidates against those that are saying these things, especially the squad has been identified. And Jamal Bowman is one of them. And there is going to be a lot of, as Sandy Barnaby put it, dark money spent in this race to remove and unseat Congressman Jamal Bowman. Now, while I am a supporter, I've bent his ear on a few things I didn't agree with. I don't agree with any politician 100%. I don't care who they are. And this Black Westchester has held his feet to the fire, publicly and personally. But for speaking, the things that are being said on this show, he has been labeled anti-Israel, and since he's been identified as anti-Israel, they're going to spend millions and millions and tens of millions of dollars to unseat him. The second part of that is they're going to put all of this in support of George Latimer. Some of it will be directly into his campaign, and some of it will be money that they spend to dirty up Jamal Bowman. And George Latimer, my question, since he and his deputy county exec tout their administration is the one of the most diversity, as the one with the most inclusivity and inclusive, as you know, being anti-racist and all of these things, I don't hear you denouncing this organization who is spending all this money to in this election and all the things that they're doing. You're just accepting their support. So that makes me question you, because Damon started this show saying whoever pays the piper calls the tune. Basically, whoever gives you money, that's whose phone you're answering. You understand what I'm saying? We've gave you X amount of dollars. Nobody does anything for free. This is politics. We gave you large support. We expect something from you. We expect you to vote certain ways on certain things. Those ways are not productive to black and brown people. Overseas, in America, and especially here in Westchester, do not have the concerns. He has ran his campaigns and ran his administration as a friend of black and brown people, as a progressive for the progressive groups, as anti-racists for the anti-racist groups. And a lot of these groups are not feeling him running against Jamal Bowman. A lot of those who supported him are not feeling it. And I wanted to bring up one last thing because this wasn't talked about. So for months we heard about the urging of rabbis and Jewish leaders urging George Latimer to run against Jamal Bowman. What we didn't hear about, and we had to put it out, was an October 19th letter from 44 or more Jewish people that are heavy in the Democratic Party, that are community leaders, advocates, who called to question these rabbis and who urged George not to run. I say this to say a picture was painted that the entire Jewish community was mad with Jamal, didn't want to have nothing to do with Jamal, and wanted George to run. But there was a letter of 44 stakeholders and community leaders from the Jewish community that said just the opposite, that they support Jamal Bowman. They liked the job he was doing and that they didn't want George to run. But until we wrote this, until we shared this letter, I didn't really read, and maybe we weren't the first because they could have been somebody else, but I didn't see anybody else talking about this letter that we just shared last week from October 19th. But I heard from all those places that I didn't hear about the letter, all those places about the rabbis and the Jewish leaders who were urging George to run. So we ran this letter just because, as we like to say, black people and as they say Latino people don't vote in a monolith. We're not all one. All Jewish people don't vote in a monolith either. There are Jewish people that support Jamal Bowman, and that we don't read about, that we don't hear about, that the news doesn't tell us about. But we only hear about those who are mad with him and don't want him to run. So again, we equal the playing field, and we ran the letter. And then the Yonkers Times, a division of the Westchester Magazine, they ran it after we ran it, and everybody else started. Many people, even the Yonkers Times asked the question, why hasn't the media publicized this letter for over 2 months? They asked the question after reading our story. Other people are asking that question too. So this is what this show was about, putting it all out there, talking about the things that people are scared to talk about but that need to be said, addressing the situation, and lastly, calling for our audience to share their views, whether in a editorial, op-ed, or a letter to the editor, or, whatever. We want to hear from you. We just wanted to put it out there because nobody's really talking about this. And that's what we've been doing for the last 9 years, saying what nobody else has been saying. This could cost us, people worry about costing their job. Hey, this might cost us ever getting any more ads from the county. May cost us from never getting an ad from the Latimer, and he's advertised in every election he's ran in since we've been in existence. But you know what? If so be it. We're not going to let that stop us. A lot of other people are stopped by money, scared of the loss of money. And I understand you got a county job, you got benefits, you got all that. You know what I'm saying? Healthcare, and you don't want to lose that, even no matter how you feel. But that's why we're here, to speak truth to power and say those things. Be the voice of the voiceless, those who can't speak for themselves.
Absolutely. But, brother, is what it is, man. So, hey, man, fragrance of the day, y'all. Latafa El Amid. Latafa El Amid. I'm telling y'all guys, every Saturday at 11 o'clock, I do Ballin' with a Budget. where I talk about great sense. As you can see, since I've been retired, I've been buying nothing but nice, great scents because I have nothing else to do, bored with my life. So I just buy a bunch of scents. This one here is a great one. Got it on today. It's a great freshie. El Amid, and it's only about $40. You can't beat it. Every Saturday, we do a show, Balling with a Budget, where we talk about scents that doesn't hurt your pockets. You know, it's great around holiday time, but it's also good for women and men. I got one coming out. I talk about a woman's one called Club de Nuit Imperial, and I talk about one of the men's. Which one of the men's did I do? Oh yeah, Club de Nuit Milestone. If people like Parfums de Mali think is Carlina, the Imperial has the same DNA as that, and the Milestone has the same DNA as Creta Ventus. So you know you're getting a nice smell that's beast mode that lasts 6 to 10 hours on your skin, and maybe about 15 hours on your clothes, and you're only paying $50 for it. But with Kalina PDM is about $300, and Creed, forget about it. Aventus is up there $300-400. So this is what we talk about. We try to teach people that they can smell good because, you know, a smell doesn't have a label. Either you smell good or you don't. So you know, the goal is to smell good, smell like a boss, smell like a lot of money, but not paying a lot of money for it. So it's every Saturday. But today's fragrance is Al Amid.
That's what's up. So since you did that, I'm going to have to do my own shameless plug. I got to change my background for this now. There we go. I have just wrote my new book.
Absolutely.
Got our own thing. Look at hip hop from the 914. As we just saw the Grammy hip hop special last night, one of the things that was reminiscent, that was inspiring for this book, even on that special, 914 Westchester was left out of the conversation. Even when they paid tribute to those who were passed, they did mention DMX, but they never mentioned Heavy D. You know what I'm saying?
They did.
Heavy D. No, Heavy D. They went through the DMX, Biggie, Tupac, my man from De La Soul, Biz Markie, the whole list. And they didn't mention Hev, and he definitely fits in that conversation. One of the things that I saw before writing this book, Pete Rock had put a post. Pete Rock is Hev's younger cousin. Pete Rock put a post saying that, he's noticed that Heavy D was left out of a lot of the 50th hip hop anniversary specials, celebrations, and he was calling for Hev deserves better than that. And I realized that Westchester as a whole has been left out of the conversation. So I did this book. We got our own thing, which is a Heavy D title. A look at hip hop from the 914 basically documents and celebrates Westchester hip hop. And I'll say this in closing, while back then the 5 boroughs did not look at places like Westchester, like being from Westchester as being real hip hop, they identify the Bronx as the birthplace of hip hop, hip hop's Garden of Eden. Well, let me just tell you something. Unlike all those places that didn't consider Westchester hip hop, Brooklyn, Queens, Harlem, Manhattan, Staten Island, guess what? Westchester, especially cities like Mount Vernon and Yonkers, we ain't got to cross a bridge to get to the Bronx. We've been closer to the scene than any of y'all ever were. and everything that happened in the Bronx hiccuped into Lower Westchester. So this book celebrates and documents 914 hip hop. It's called We Got Our Own Thing. A look at hip hop from the 914. You can get it on Amazon, or you just hit me at Mr. AJ Woodson. You don't see our names no more. Mr. AJ Woodson at gmail.com. And you can get it from me directly, get an autographed copy from me directly. But it's available now. And in closing, I see a comment. Let me put that up. Thanks for this conversation. We have to educate folks in these issues. I'm so disappointed with Latimer. You can't say you support the people and engage in divisive politics. Thank you very much. And to my sister Lane Cobb. And pretty much after that, I think we out. We went a little longer. We was trying to do a power hour, but I think we went more like an hour and a half.
8 o'clock. Check me out. I'm back on live.
Yeah, Damon will be back on live. I'll be on another call dealing with hip hop, selling the book. But yeah, that's it, man. Oh, also, we always take, and I never made an announcement this year. I always take, because I usually am on every show. Everybody else ain't on every show, but I'm usually on every show. I usually take a winter hiatus somewhere after Thanksgiving to around Martin Luther King Day, somewhere around that. So there will not be regularly Sunday scheduled People Before Politics shows unless Damon and I decide we just had to address something. We were going to address this last night, but didn't get a chance to, so we did a special Monday edition. So if you haven't seen the show, we're on a hiatus. If we're going to do a special show, we will get the word out and let you know. But we're on a hiatus till mid-January. Got to take that break so we can come back fresh in 2024 for the next season.
So I'll be back on 8 p.m. on my page, on the Health Mindset Facebook group, the Divine Black Masculine Facebook group, and we're talking about unpacking mother and father wounds for Black men. It's a great discussion. I've been. Some people agree and some people disagree, but when we having a community that is up to 80% kids born out of wedlock, we deal with a lot of mother and we deal with a lot of father wounds that we have to unpack when we are adults, and I talk about that. I talk about mother and father wounds, and I talk about the need for people to seek counseling. As Black people, brown people, we don't go seek counseling. We allow our ego, and then we allow these wounds to fester. And some of us don't recognize that we have these wounds, and some of us do. So that's a great day. I did one for mother and father wounds for Black women. So tonight I'm doing mother and father wounds for Black men, and addressing the Superman complex. Why some men grow up and they want to save everybody. That's a mother and father wound. So, let's tune in. We can agree to disagree, but, we have to hold conversations about it, because the goal is to have healthy families. The goal is to address mental health issues and anxiety and stress that's brought about by living in a community that has faced all type of trauma for generations. And we have to be brave enough and open enough to talk about it, because we're the only ones that's going to save ourselves.
Word up. Oh, lastly, you see, Damon, I had to, I was cleaning up. I had to dust off my Obama 08 hat. I didn't even know I still had this hat. I was like, I might as well pop it on tonight. I had to dust it off a little bit to rock that. But yeah, until next time, I'll catch Damon in about 30 minutes. And until next time we do a special edition, we out. Peace.
Peace out. Look to go. Where's the thing at?
22 million Black victims of Americanism are waking up. and they're gaining a new political consciousness, becoming politically mature. And as they develop this political maturity, they're able to see the recent trends in these political elections. Any minority that has a block of votes that stick together is in a strategic position. Either way you go, that's who gets it. You're in a position to determine who go to the White House and who stay in the doghouse. You're the one who has that power. You and I have never seen democracy. All we've seen is hypocrisy. When we open our eyes today and look around America, we see America not through the eyes of someone who has enjoyed the fruits of Americanism. We see America through the eyes of someone who has been the victim of Americanism. We don't see any American dream. We've experienced only the American nightmare. We haven't benefited from America's democracy. We've only suffered from America's hypocrisy. And the generation that's coming up now can see it and are not afraid to say it. And are not afraid to say it. And are not afraid to say it.